If you or someone you know is newly of age or are in their early 20s and you go out to settings such as clubs, lounges, bars, raves, house parties, all of the above, then what I'm about to say might be of benefit to you. Mainly what I want to talk about is learning to use your discernment when filtering out people, being your party friends and your friends, as well as predators. When you are out, before you dance with anybody or drink with anybody or entertain them really, at the very least, find out basic information about them, their name, their age, see if they're with people or alone, that kind of stuff. Of course, people can lie, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't attempt to do that. That should be common sense, but unfortunately, a lot of people, either young people or older people who should know better, don't do that enough. When there is a 5 to 10 year, maybe even more age gap, when you are 28 or something close to 30 and the other person's 40 or something like that, that is very, very, very different than when you are 18 or 19 or 20 and the person is 30 or around there. When you are 20 or 19 or whatever, you technically are a young adult, but let's be real here. I still see myself in some ways as a child. I think that most people over the age of 30 or 40 should probably see me that way as well, with how much life that they have ahead of me. You have to try to grasp how not just physically but mentally grown a 30-plus-year-old person is supposed to be. I mean, again, even at 23, I cannot see myself giving any amount of attention to someone who I know is, if I'm being honest, even 2 years younger than me. Just because I know that the growth that happens in those increments from like 16 to 18, from 18 to 20, again from 20 to 22, and it just keeps going, right? It's so immense. And I just couldn't picture it, especially in a club setting or something like that. If you are interacting with someone in any kind of sensual or romantic way at a club who you just met, then let's be real, most likely it is based on some level of lust and that sort of thing. That leads me into my next point, which is differentiating party friends versus friends. Now, party friends, of course, can become real good lifelong friends. However, if you met or only hang out with a group of people in party settings, then they're really just party friends. Even if you have known them for years, maybe you went to high school with them, maybe you in a way grew up with them distantly. Even then, you cannot just assume that they are solid people who would be there for you when you really need it. What I mean is, if you were too intoxicated and needed to go home, would they call you an Uber or walk you outside, make sure you get into the car safely? Would they hold your hair up or just your clothes maybe while you're puking in the stall? Not that any of these things I mentioned are, ideal to happen. Of course, you should try to avoid getting to that point when you're out in public and not in a safe space to begin with. The point is that when it happens, are you in good hands? You don't know if they care about you outside of adding to their fun for the night. You don't know that if this person from the example I brought up earlier that you are dancing with or doing whatever with, if they were to, God forbid, stick their hand up your pants or your shirt or something of the sort, I, as well as others I know, have had that happen to them. So God forbid that happens. Are you in company of people who would have the courage to step in between you and that person? Or would they turn a blind eye? Or would the effort that they make to do something about it be so minimal that it doesn't make a difference? I am not trying to say that when we are out or just in general, we have a responsibility to everyone around us to make sure that we get them home safe or that they don't get sloshed or act irresponsibly or hurt themselves or anything of the kind. Of course not. But some people truly just lack human decency, and you and your immediate circle, at the very least, should have each other's back in that way. You should be checking on each other throughout the night, bringing water to each other. If somebody ends up in a freaking med tent, one or more of you should be going home with them or staying with them. Like, that is just, again, human decency.